Good morning everyone, today is a discussion video regarding the drop rate of the Flugelguard weapons or just any rare drop rate in general. But before we jump into all of that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. Now, the first thing I want to get out of the way are, of course, the disclaimers over here. I am not here to complain about the rare drop rate being low or not. I simply just want to get a gauge of how the community feels regarding the rare drop rates for the Flugelguard series, because I'm sure that all of us agree that the Flugelguard weapon drop rates have been increased drastically compared to the Rugged series as well as the Tisha series from before. It took several months before we saw a couple of them pop up on the player shop, and even when they did pop up, they were going for unreasonable prices because of how rare they were. So, first thing I just want to get out of the way as disclaimers is I think that the Flugelguard weapons drop rates are better. However, the main discussion that I want to have with you guys today is it good enough? Do they need to buff the drop rates even further, or do you think it's already at a good spot? As a player myself, of course, I would love to see the rare drop rate increase so that more people can get this awesome weapon. However, I do understand that Sega is trying to make this weapon kind of like a scarcity and be like, oh my goodness, you finally got a Flugelguard weapon. And the prestige and the legendary aspect of getting a Flugelguard is because of how rare it is. If it was super common, a lot of people aren't really going to care that much about it. A great example of this is the Sanguine weapons. The Sanguine weapons were introduced when they introduced Dark Falls for the very first time, and the drop rate wasn't amazing per se, but it was significantly higher. Every run you would see at least one person in your run get a Sanguine weapon. However, what they did in order to slow down progress was you needed to farm all of those photon scales in order to unlock its weapon potential and get it to its full power. So everyone got the weapon relatively early, however it took a long time to fully max out the weapon and fully power it up. And it seemed like a lot of the community didn't really like that, because it was like, oh yeah, we all got the new weapon and now we're just farming these useless pieces of materials in order to finally power it up so that we get it to its full potential. And it just kind of left sort of a bad taste in some people's mouths. So it seemed like not a lot of people really liked that formula. However, if you did like it, let me know in the comment section below. But now we come full circle back to the Flugelguard series. Personally, I think the Flugelguard series are a great weapon series. However, I do think that they will be releasing another 10-star rarity weapon, which is going to be better than this series, because that's what they tend to do. If we look at the history of all the different rarity weapons that we have, for example, the 9 stars as well as the 8 stars, they always release a super ultra rare item where it's like, oh my goodness, this is the Tisha weapons, the rugged weapons, everyone's constantly chasing for them, but most people kind of give up after a week. And then soon after, they release a craftable version. So we got the Coclophus weapons back in Stio, where you had to farm a bunch of Infernium in order to make the Coclophus weapons. And then of course with the 9-star rarity weapons, we had the Verschmel weapons, where we had to farm all of the growth mint in order to craft that. And starting from next week, we're gonna get the Dread Scales, which you can farm for that in order to make the Melik weapon series. So Sega more or less already has a system implemented on their tiers of weapons and how they implement things. There's the super ultra rare item that everyone is chasing for. Then there's the everyday weapon that most people can just farm for if they just invest a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. And then that's the average weapon. And then they balance current content with the assumption that everyone has the average gear. And that's kind of how Sega has been going on with things at the moment. However, I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think about the drop rate for the Flugelguard weapon series? On average, how many hours do you think is reasonable for an average player to invest in farming for a rare item before they're guaranteed one? Personally, I've been playing a lot of Diablo 4 recently because I really enjoy Season 2, and if you look at their current endgame, which is of course farming Uber Duriel, there is a 2% chance of it dropping an Uber Unique. An Uber Unique is basically the equivalent of having a 10-star drop in PSO2. It's a very rare item. Now the drop rate for that item is 2%, so on average it takes a group of players about 20 to 40 hours before they're able to see their first uber unique. However, the way that Diablo 4 is balanced, it heavily favors group play over solo players, so if you were to try to get an uber unique as a purely solo player, it would take you about 200 to 400 hours before you see your first uber unique. And now that I know these numbers, I started thinking about NGS and I was like, what does the average player feel like is reasonable before they see a 10-star or a 9-star rarity drop? But for the sake of argument, we're just going to be saying 10 stars, so let me know in the comment section below. I'm going to add a straw poll in the description below as well, so that you can vote on what do you think is a reasonable amount of hours that a player should invest before they are guaranteed to see a 10-star, just to get a better idea of what you guys think. But I'm sure plenty of you guys are curious on what I personally think. I think a player should invest between 20 to 50 hours and they should be guaranteed to see something drop within that time frame if they are target farming a specific item. So in my case, I would like to see a guaranteed Flugagard weapon to drop after 200 runs of Darkfall Solace. Somewhere within that window of margin between 100 to 200 runs, if I can see a Flugagard weapon drop within that window, personally, I would be very happy with that. However, I know that I am not the average player and that you guys can't invest as much time as I have in this game. So please vote in the straw poll in the description below so that I have a better picture of what the global community wants. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.